Hey everybody, this is Alex Merced from alexmerced.com, and this is the first of several Flstudio tutorials I plan on doing. So basically, this is 101, basically the basics of using Flstudio. So if you've just downloaded Flstudio, you've never really used it before, this is for you. So when you first turn on Flstudio, you should see a screen like this. Now basically a lot of the work you'll be doing is here in the pattern sequencer, which is this thing that I'm moving around right now. So it usually starts out with 4 parts for a basic drum set, which is the kick, the clap, the hi-hat, and the snare. Now do you have to use these particular sounds? Not necessarily. There's more sounds that usually come with Flstudio, and you can download endless amounts of sounds for you to use. But I'm going to stick to the stuff that it comes with to show you how this all works. Okay? But just a couple basic sort of drum beats. Basically, right now we're in 140 beats per minute, so you see right over here, that's the tempo. Okay? So I can change that to whatever tempo I want. Now if you're doing something like dubstep music, you're probably going to stay right there in 140. And usually you start basically with a drum beat like this. So you have a kick on the first, a clap on the second beat. So these are 4 steps, and there's 4 steps in one beat, 4 beats per bar. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4. So on the first beat you have the kick, on the second beat you have a clap and the snare, and then it'll sound something like this. And then you find out ways to decorate it more. If you're doing dubstep, watch some of the other dubstep tutorials to learn how to make the beat more splashy. Now if you're doing like house, you're probably going to go down to 127 beats per minute and do a beat like this where you have a bass, a kick on each step, clap on each other on 2 and 4, and then hi-hats sort of on the off beats. Now if you're doing hip hop, then you're going to want to slow it all the way down to, let's say, 90. Okay, and then basically you have a kick on each. Well, actually, what you do is you just put the clap on every other beat, and then you just kind of have fun with the kick drum. You kind of do whatever you want there, and then you end up with like a hip hoppy beat. And you can right-click each of these channels, and there's a lot of different options, such as you can fill the steps automatically here. Fill each step, each 2 steps, each 4 steps, each 8 steps. You can cut and copy, like cut, copy, paste the information in a particular channel, and you can even randomize the channel. Or you can choose the key that it's in, one of several different chords for the bass it's randomization on, a lot of other options. A lot of neat tricks there. Okay, but those are some basic starting points for some genres. You'll find lots of tutorials on YouTube regarding any genre you'd want and the basic tenets of trying to get that sound. Okay, now basically these are all sound samples, so when you're using a sound sample and you click on that channel's setting box is going to come up right over here, where you can choose all sorts of different options. Okay, now the sounds that Flstudio comes with should be down, or you can always look through all your files here in the browser, should be in packs. Okay, it's been a while since I've looked here, but let's see here, drum kit 05, so then you have all these different sounds. Now you can always just drag and drop them over here, or what you can do is you can right click them, open in a new channel. So now I have the sound to use. So what I'll do is just put on each 8 step. Or I can put on each second step. Randomize it. Okay, lots of ways to play with it, but I can also, here in this screen, and there's a lot of stuff you can do here, so more than I can really go into one tutorial. Some of the main features is I can reverse it, so now it's backwards. Okay, and you can get some cool sort of zoom in effects, especially with crash. So very popular is reversing crash symbols. Let me see if I can find a crash symbol here. Here we go. So let me open the crash symbol. So that's a normal crash symbol. But now if I hit reverse, pretty cool sound. And you can go through here and there's a lot of different features. Now generally with anything you can always edit the ADSR, which stands for attack, which is how the impact of when you actually hit the note. So the higher the attack, the more crisp the sound hits. Okay. The delay, which is sort of how long the or the decay is how long the sound lasts. Okay. Sustain is how long. So if you keep holding the button, how long will the note go for? Okay. The decay is sort of like how the volume moves after you hit the button, so it'll be like, you know, kind of go down a little bit after you hit the button. Okay, so for example, if I were to move the attack here, you see, so like this red line, it shows you sort of the movement of the effect. Could be volume, could be the cut, the resonance. I can change all those things, but see here, if I go like this, the volume will be at the highest right away because I change the attack to attack really hard. Okay, now if I were to, so I can see I'm changing the sustain, so how long the note lasts as I hold it. The release is what happens after I let go of the note. So does the note keep sort of having sound after the note's been played? And I can make that last forever or whatever. You can do whatever you want. Okay, there's also things you can do. So those are just some basic functions. Now, wonderful, we have a beat. Let me just make this like every 4 steps. Okay, but you probably want some like melodies over the beats. So there's some basic channels. Now, find some of the presets for, like, what you can do is you would click up here the channels and you hit add one, and there's several different instruments. A lot of these I've added. So we'll use some of the ones that it comes with. So one of them is 3X, the 3 times oscillator, and the TS404 bassline. There's a bunch of other ones that it generally comes with, but we'll stick to those two to keep it simple. Now if you want to find the presets for those, you just click up here, channel presets, and you can find presets for some of the channels that Flstudio comes up with. So I just drop that, and I can find all these presets. I just added in a new channel. And then again, I can play with that over here and change it. Okay. Now, instead of editing the beats, what I could do is I could put in the pattern sequencer and hit the now this button right here will let me allow to change the velocity of each note or different variables, so like the pan, the velocity, the release, mod X, mod Y, and I can edit the individual sort of characteristics of each bar, or I can hit this where I can change the note of each step. Another way to edit the notes is I can hit right click and send to piano, and then here I can actually like sort of program in the music. So for example, what I'll do is I'll put like a little bass notes here, so I'll just sort of on the off steps I'll just do this. Get something like this. Now notice how the beat stops playing when we get to the second bar. So there's 2 bars in my melody line, but again, these beats represent 1 bar. So if I want this to keep repeating, I just click this little box over here, and it'll keep repeating even when it gets past the first bar. So now watch what happens. Okay, now I'd like to turn this into, well, a song, so I can't just keep putting everything into one pattern. So what I have to do is I have to sequence my patterns. So, and then I can change patterns. So let's say this is pattern 1. I just click here and I can go to pattern 2, make another pattern, pattern 3, another pattern 4, pattern. So then what I do is I click this button over here, and this brings up the playlist where I can put in my patterns. There's 2 ways for me to put in that pattern 1. So I make sure I have pattern 1 selected. So I go up here, click pattern 1, and I can just click it and put them up here. Now notice, if I were to hit this play button right over here, it still just plays my pattern. What I want to do is to play it from the playlist. So what you do is you change this over to song. And now that plays what's in the playlist. But I could also put it down here in the playlist. Okay, so I can go down here, see where it says pattern 1, and I just put it in there. Either way, it achieves the same result. A lot of people prefer to do it up here because you have a lot of little things you can do. Okay, so for example, like up here, I could actually shorten the phrase. So, and play with sort of the amount where I am there. So I can go do something like this. And then you get some weird results. And there's all sorts of cool stuff you can do. Let me just get rid of that for now. I'll work down with the patterns down here for the moment. Now, cool things you can do is have the same melody line playing with different instruments. So what I'll do is I'll copy another preset over here. So this one's going to sound like this. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this melody line, copy, but I'm going to do it into a new pattern. Right over here. And then what I'm going to do is here I have pattern 1 playing one time first. I have it play again. But then I'm also going to have that pattern 2 jump in the second time. And you got to make sure they line up. If you're worrying about how it lines up, what you can do is you can always go down here and you can change your snapping options. So usually when I'm putting stuff into the playlist, I change it to like a bar. It just makes it easier for me to just put things in there without worrying about spacing. Let's see how that sounds. Okay, not the most catchiest melody or whatnot, but again, we're doing this very quickly. Now, you may want to place effects. Now, if I want to place effects on everything, I would do that here in the master channel. So where I went to was clicked up here to bring up the mixer. This is where all the effects are done. So the master channel does everything. Probably always a good idea to put in like so when you click on here, you'll see all the different effects that you have. Again, I've added a few here, but anything with the word fruity in it comes with Flstudio. A fruity limiter. What that does is just kind of help make the sound nicer. So you can do something like let's do a noise gate. But even before that, I'll add I will add a multi-band compressor that helps just sort of make the sound more robust, and do fast mastering. Now, as you learn more about how compressors and equalizers work, you'll be able to do more sophisticated things, but this is just some quick tips just to get decent results with minimal effort. So I just use one of the mastering options. You may not notice it, but the drums are now a little bit more sort of cleaner sounding, and then better sounding with the melody. But there's other ways you can do it. There's this one plugin called Sound Goodizer that just kind of automatically does it. It's kind of a blunt tool, so sometimes it works really well. Sometimes there's just better ways of getting to the same result, so it just depends on your preference. Again, generally as you get more advanced, you'll probably be, putting each effect to a separate channel. So for example, if I really want to edit the kick, the sound and get it just right, I could go to put it on FX channel number 2, and now any effects I put on channel 2 would be on it. So I can like put some overdrive to jack up the sound of the bass, so amplify the sound. And then I can do this equal to put some the jack up the bass. So I want to do something like that, so that way the bass sounds are a lot higher. Kind of like that. And then you can automate any of these things. So basically, like any knob, anywhere. So for example, if I want to animate or automate the preamp here, I can just right click it, and you can do this for any knob and any instrument, anything. You can automate it. I like editing the events in the piano roll. Some people create automation clips, so I'll show you both. If I were to edit the events in the piano roll, okay, it shows me the piano roll for the instrument, and then down here is where I would edit it. So right there. And then if you hit Alt-O, you can create like a wave pattern of automation called an LFO. So it goes like that. And if you want to listen to how that sounds, all I can do is keep it playing. Now this is on the kick, so let me just make a pattern where it's just kicks, so you can see how it changes. So it's like, so those triangles you see those down here, they're waving the volume or the preamp up and down. So you're seeing it's more amplified at certain points, and you can get a lot of really cool effects that way. Cool. Now if you wanted to do it in the piano roll, or in the playlist, what you do is, once again, I'll just bring up some sort of effect. Let's say let's just do the volume for the whole thing. Okay, so this is the master volume over here. Edit events in the create an automation clip, and what it does in the playlist, it creates this clip here where I can just edit it from there. So this is like the volume, and I'll make it do something like that, and I can add more spots by just right clicking, so that way I can finer tune it. And let's see how that sounds. So you can see how the volume kind of changed as the song moved on. So that should teach you a lot about how to use FL Studio. I mean, with that, you should know the main tricks and whatnot. There's a lot more. I mean, every day I probably discover a new feature here in FL Studio, but this should get you started and playing around. Just trying to make a couple sort of starter beats using what I taught here, and then start watching a lot of other videos on YouTube with other features that you'll find interesting. So my name is Alex Merced from alexmerced.com. Do check out my music. You can go to music.alexmerced.com, or you can check me out on Reverb Nation at reverbnation.com/alexmerced, or even at SoundCloud, soundcloud.com/alexmerced. I'll put all the links in the video description. Have a great day and enjoy.